Where Apple is today and where they're going? This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by MacVoices After Dark. Uncensored, off-topic, and always off the wall. MacVoices After Dark is available as a benefit to our Patreon subscribers. Sign up at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the fourth and final part of a lengthy MacVoices live discussion we had about the dings that Apple has put in the universe, how they have made changes that resonate still today, both in their own products and in the tech industry. In the first three episodes, we spent quite a bit of time looking back and picking some of our favorites and how they affected us and how important we thought they were from our respective points of view. This time, however, we take a little harder look at what Apple's doing now, where we think they will be going in the future, and the things that they are doing now in a 21st century world that has so many different expectations well beyond tech. So let's go right back to the panel.
I think in some ways, though, there's something on this, and I guess the closest number would be 36. Siri serves up everyday AI. This idea that it has to get better. I think that one of the things that Apple has done really well lately, that I've appreciated at least, is recognizing the power that they have and the ability to make a difference with it. The ability to say, we are the most powerful shopping center for digital apps in the world. We're going to make people tell you how they're using your data. Mm-hmm. Or we're going to understand that, having the same people that all look the same on stage at every single event starts to get old for people. Maybe we should change up who gets to talk on stage, even if Federighi gets to do funny things that become memes for WWDC a year later. The fact that even, just last week they said, it's kind of important that people feel like the person that they're talking to on their phone more than ever these days starts to sound a little maybe less robotic and more like someone that could be their friend. To me, that says a lot. It's the ability to do these little things and see those little things make a big impact in people's lives. We talked about the Apple Watch earlier, and just like the idea of this device, although they will tell you, don't rely on it to save your life, this device has saved people's lives. Mm-hmm. And they recognize that, and they recognize the importance of that, and they recognize the power that they have. And I will say, I hope they haven't used it for ill. They might wind up being the Lex Luthor that's doing something terrible, but I would think not.
There's a human out there.
I would think not, but I would definitely hope that the next 45 years of Apple is maybe not as much let's run fast and break things, but let's go back and look at all the things that got broken along the way and maybe start to fix those a little bit.
Yeah. Jay, I think that's a really interesting point, though, that we've hit a point where the technology maybe needs to have a little bit of human guidance, or that we as humans need some guidance about how to use the technology instead of just focusing, like at least I do, and a lot of people here do, on productivity. Brittany, you wanted to bring something in too, and I think that sort of fits in with what Jay was saying.
It was about the Siri Voices from last week. They changed it. I'm on the beta, so I've had a little bit more hands-on than some folks. The voices are amazing. I use a screen reader regularly, and their inflection is so natural. I hardly even want to yell at Siri.
Yeah.
Hardly.
I mean, not that, which is interestingly, I did change to a more masculine sounding voice, and I still refer to the AI as she. It'll take a while, I guess. In my head, that's still she. But that's part of why changing up the defaults matters a lot, is because I think we've all defaulted, popularly saying lady in the tube and stuff. But there is one thing that I found interesting that people have talked about, the gender inclusion, but not about the voices themselves. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
No,
I mean, Siri number 3 sounds like my mom when I'm in trouble. So
See, I picture that voice
it's
as
a
being
little
much
too
nicer.
nice. I like, yeah, she's like a nice black lady, and I'm like,
right before the hammer comes down.
Yeah. She's telling you that if you don't do it in about 5 seconds, there's going to be trouble.
I'm sorry, Jay, I can't do that. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. I don't know what I asked.
And it's an aspect of inclusion that, like, the thing I find disturbing is that nobody's talking about it. And maybe because it's not easy to wait. There's not really a very good way to talk about somebody sounding black. That's not a really kosher thing, especially Jay has said on his own podcast, like, people confuse him. But the actors that they recorded, I fully expect Apple to show off their actors because they're amazing. And
I, for one, have watched. Go ahead, Brittany. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I've watched a lot of video game conferences, and one of my favorite things to do is sit there and watch the voice actors like do line readings. I would love to see all the series get up at WWDC and like talk about all of their little updates. Like,
Wouldn't that be cool? But that is my prediction, by the way, is that it'll be released for the event because Apple doesn't want to say the words either, and they just want to show the actors.
Wow. That would be awesome, though.
But it would be
that
cool.
would be cool. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's a beautiful thing of artificial intelligence that it sounds so natural, but it's also, I like being more inclusive and it matters, but I've found it a little bit disturbing to not hear anybody talk about that part of it. I don't know what other folks' thoughts are.
Brittany, I don't want to come off wrong because I'll get really some nasty emails.
And I think that's exactly why nobody's talking about it, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'll go out on a limb and send me emails if you want. But I guess I looked at this as, okay, this is a good positive thing, and the fact that it's not being touted, it's not. Apple's not pandering to the phrase of the minute or the hour or the day or the week or the year.
And I'm okay with Apple not touting it. I find it concerning that my echo chamber has not been discussing it.
Okay.
I don't know where to go with that, except that maybe it's a matter of feeling awkward about discussing it because real talk, we're a whole bunch of white people.
Yeah. And that's part of why I didn't want to talk about Jay here. Not because I needed his permission, but because I needed his perspective.
Why, Jay?
But I'm a big believer in bringing
technical, Jay.
Secret things into the open and not having them be hidden away. I think it's basically what Chuck said. Like, I don't want to have this conversation badly. And it would be, and I think a lot of people are erring on the side of, I would rather not have this conversation at all due to the resulting hate mail or having blundered about something really badly, which is something I totally understand. And I think that might be why. And that's why maybe you're hearing about it on Jay's podcast and you may not be hearing about it in a lot of other places.
I think with that though, and I guess the background here is in my day job, I serve as a diversity rep. So like my job is to connect with groups of people that don't look like me, and some that do, but to make sure that we're doing our best as a company to reach out to them. I feel like it's important that we remember, even as I mentioned before, those people that are now making more money than software developers, which when I was growing up, that was like the best job in the world that you could have. That was where you made all of the money and you had all of the influence in what was going on in the world, unless you were like the president, which up until I was able to vote also kind of looked like everyone else, the same. And when you start to see those things change slowly, it doesn't make a massive amount of importance to the people that it doesn't matter to, but to the people that it's a little thing, it means so much. I mean, even, even being stationed in Japan and going to places like Thailand and the Philippines and Korea, like a simple gesture, learn some of the basic language, mess it up, be humble when you mess it up. They know you're going to mess it up, but being able to just go, I try and I want to learn. And when I make a mistake, I'm going to apologize and be humble about it and use it as an experience for them to teach me. I think, again, something that Apple has done very, very well, especially in the last few years, having more people of color on stage, having more people that are not cisgendered white males. I mean, the fact that their CEO is an openly gay man is something that I have relatives that can't even, come to terms with that, which I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, I got to work on my own, even at that matter. But there's a lot to say about the fact that people are trying, the fact that we see Apple trying, the fact that we see, and again, I have a bad habit of doing this, bringing up the rebellion. We see Microsoft trying. We see these companies really wanting to make a difference in the people that work for them, but also the people that are consuming their products. And I did mention this on my podcast that dropped today, so be sure to go get that. In America, for a lot of folks that are my age, 30 and under, Black culture is American culture. And the more that we recognize that, the more that we accept that, and the more that we make it so that American culture is American culture, which includes Black culture, which includes LGBTQIA plus culture, which includes AAPI culture. As soon as we can start to say that is American culture, our technology will start to look different. Our technology will start to think and act different. Oh, I said technology thinking. That's dangerous. The second
I don't know if you heard the new Siri.
That's when
Sounds
all of
pretty
the
realistic.
things. That's when all of the things will start to improve. And that's where I said it has to be kind of a matter of small progressions of doing these small adjustments instead of swinging for the fences every time with something completely new out of the gate.
This edition of Mac Voices is supported by our Patreon subscribers and Mac Voices After Dark. Ever wonder what happens before the Mac Voices live shows? Or what happens when the show ends or after the live feed closes? That's where Mac Voices After Dark comes in. If you are a Patreon supporter at any level, you get access to the video of our off-camera conversations. Uncensored, unedited, and always off the wall. It's a small thank you to our Patreon supporters who want to peek behind the curtain. Become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/MacVoices. And thanks to everyone who supports the show.
Yeah. And I think the accessibility piece of that, to follow on to your point, Jay, like one of the things that I've noticed, because I know Brittany and I have talked about it, is the accessibility piece. And Chuck, I'm sure, given the amount of time that you and I talk about things that Apple's doing, I'm sure you and I have talked about the accessibility stuff that Apple has done, particularly on iOS. And like Robert Carter's, Dr. Carter's podcast is about like accessibility and Apple products and all of the things that he can do and all of the ways that he has a nicer life, I guess, for that sort of thing. Like, being able to use some of the accessibility features. And there's probably like some piece of that all of us use, in some way as a convenience, but not as a necessity. And like, that's another piece of it that I think is really interesting. And that just comes to your point, Jay, of inclusion and having people, having a wider variety of people. Like, one of the workouts that you can get on the Apple Watch is wheelchair pushes. Like, how many pushes do you do? And yes, Frank, do you use that?
No, I was going to say I have a power wheelchair, but I just wrote to Apple. I noticed that in their Fitness Plus program, they have absolutely no exercise regimen for people in wheelchairs. And actually, it doesn't have to be a wheelchair. You could just list it as a sit-down exercise for seniors / wheelchair users.
Well, you just get up on
and
the
I'm
treadmill.
Surprised that got by them. Yeah, get on the treadmill.
I'm glad you sent them a letter.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. I will too, because that's not one I use. And so it doesn't occur to me that it's one they should have. So
it surprised me because they had made such strides with the wheelchair thing you were referring to, because they found with the university, there's 3 different ways to propel a manual wheelchair. Another thing I found that's neat that Apple does with accessibility is I live in a studio apartment. I'm a paraplegic. I'm in a wheelchair. So if I get in the bed, I'm going to stay there unless I really have to get out. The beauty is I can use HomeKit, and I have like the lights set for one scene for podcasts, one for watching TV, one for I'm just, rolling around the room and stuff. And I can do it all from my phone or just talk to my watch, and it's done. And to me, that's amazing. And if just to mention, if you want to really read up some good stuff, Chuck, your nemesis, Allison, she's a very, very big proponent of accessibility in technology, and she has been doing a lot of it for the last year. A lot of really, really good articles and interviews and stuff.
Yeah, she does. That's one of her big focuses, and she definitely does. Guys,
Allison does an exceptional whole presentation where she like holds her hands behind her back and runs her phone with like just her voice or whatever, and like the one where she does it blindfolded to show all of the things that you can do to interact with your phone.
Well, do you know Darren's show in England?
Yeah. And it's absolutely left my mind right now. But yes, I know the show you're talking about.
He does a request show on Fridays, and him and another guy do that. They break the radio on Tuesdays. But he's constantly, I'm in contact with him all the time. And every week I put something in. And it just amazes me because now he started telling jokes. And you figure this guy is a quadriplegic. He's on a ventilator, yet he's running a show and telling jokes. I mean, that's amazing.
That's what empowerment is all about. And that's where I think let's leave it, because we've been at this for a while. I really appreciate the chat room folks and all the audience hanging around, but that really is the bottom line here. Take a good look at that list, folks. You may agree with them, you may disagree with them. Hopefully some of these discussions tonight gave you some insight into how we feel about it. But really at the bottom line, so many of these things are about empowering whatever it is you do, whether you have physical challenges or accessibility challenges or mental challenges or whatever, whether you're like Guy and can't keep your hand off the loop back button.
What? You got microphone challenges.
What?
Well, he's the microphone. Yeah, he has a couple things going.
That's a fetish show, isn't it?
So
save it for after dark, Petrie.
Yeah, really. So I'm going to go around the room and let you all introduce each other. But folks, if just in case you decide to tune out at this point, I want to remind you, starting next week, we will only be on YouTube Live. We will not be on Facebook Live, but there will be a link there at showtime to kick you over to the YouTube channel. So please join us there. If you've been in YouTube, please join us on Facebook next week. That'll be our new home, and we'll continue these great discussions. So I want to thank everybody here. This has been both a marathon session and a really interesting session. So I think my screen shifted again. So forgive me if I seem out of order, but this is the way it is, and I don't want to miss anybody. So first up, Mr. Jim Ray. Jim, thank you for all your insight.
How did I get first?
I don't know, but you're there.
You send the check.
Yeah, the check's on the way. Yeah, this is a great discussion, and anyway, so I'm at ProView Development as my day job and do database software for the Mac, and so you can reach me there, and also ProView Jim on Twitter, and I'll shout out again to Lupe and Carlos if they're still there. I doubt if they are, but Lupe was my foster child 10 years ago.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Good. Well, it's good. If he's here, it's good to have you, and if he isn't, then it's good to have him before when he
said
was
hi
here.
in the chat at the beginning. So
Very cool. Very cool. Mr. David Ginsburg, thank you very much. You were a little quiet this evening, but I guess it's because you're just tired because of the day job.
Oh no, there was a good discussion. I just was taking it all in. A lot of good discussion here tonight. So thanks for having me here. And you can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. You also can find me on Mac to the Future Go livecast, although I'll be missing this week because I have Suburban Chicago Apple Users group. I have a meeting doing an iPhone special interest group on Wednesday night. That's just once in a while. And then you also can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. And thanks again for having me, Chuck.
Thank you, David. Ms. Kelly Guimont, we never hear enough from you.
Well, you're in luck because I'm about to tell you all the places you can hear me more. You can hear me Monday through Friday over at the Mac Observer, where I host the Mac Observer Daily Observations podcast. You can occasionally hear me over at the Incomparable Network, where I appear on other shows, but you can mostly hear me over on the Incomparable, where I have a new podcast called I Want My MCU TV, and we talk about the new Marvel shows. And I do that with Don Melton. You may remember us from Westworld. And also with Lisa Schmeiser. And we have a great time. And as soon as we're done here, I have to go over there and record this week's episode about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And the rest of the time, you can find me on Twitter as Verso. Oh, and the after show. I totally forgot about the after show. You can find me over on the after show where I do a show with Mike Rose.
Oh, not this after show.
No, not this after show.
Okay.
And yes, Don Melton, you may know him from Safari.
Yeah. And occasionally, Kelly will do a show about a show called The Falcon and the Winter Snowman.
We kept calling it The Falcon and the Snowman and finally got to split the difference to The Falcon and the Winter Snowman. So that's what we ended up calling it. Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. Mr. Guy Serle, the man with the bright orange shirt. Where can folks find you? Very bright.
Very, very bright. You can find me nearly every single week doing the mymac.com podcast with Gazmaz, as we have done for over 10 years now. The Mac to the Future livecast, usually on Wednesday nights, and Guy's Daily Drive, where I drive around and say stuff. Vert Shark and Mac Parrot are the Twitter handles. I'm just losing my mind tonight. Let's see. Guy at mymac.com is the email address. And Vert Shark is the website. Vert Shark is the YouTube thing that you can look up and things like that. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Guy. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Frank, I want to know where folks can find you, but I also want you to show them your hair.
Oh, you want to see? Well, which one do you want first?
Whichever one you feel up to first.
Okay, I did this on for Mac Eyes Only the other day. So let me know if I'm backing up correctly. I have no idea.
Yep, you're doing good.
Hey, nice.
Did he get frosted tips in the 90s and then never cut it?
No. No, what I did was I do you know the story about David Letterman and his beard?
I don't think so.
Which one?
Okay, David Letterman, when he left doing late night, he vowed he would never shave again because he hated shaving. That's why he has a beard that puts ZZ Top to shame. So when the pandemic started, we couldn't get a haircut. And I was starting to go bald. And I'm really vain about that. But it gave me a chance to grow my hair back long, which I haven't done since I was in my 30s. And everybody used to tell me that at the base of it, there was almost like someone took a chalk line at the bottom of it. And one night I was here during the pandemic and I was watching a Billie Eilish video. And I love that green in her hair. Oh. So I thought, just for the fun of it, suppose I took the bottom 2 inches and had it dyed green. I did it and people sort of liked it. And it's weird how people are nonplussed by it. They either go, they like it, or it's just like, yeah.
Well, those of us that know you,
something
Frank,
you saw on the TV.
I don't know if I've ever seen the back of your head before today. So
was it interesting?
That way.
Is it malformed, or is there something I don't know?
I didn't know what your hair looked like. It could have always looked that way.
Well, there's that one bald spot where the Martians landed, but that's a whole nother story.
Other than that,
you can find me. I have a website, ympnow.com, where I do reviews and op-eds. I write for Screencast Online, a monthly article. I appear on this show every Tuesday. I show up on occasional podcasts here and there. And yeah, by the way, Brittany, I have not done anything more than those 3 papers that I told you about 4 weeks ago off my desk. Sorry.
Got to pare this down.
We'll fix it.
Look out, Frank! You just invited it down on you.
And I'll go
The
and get
only thing you
lighter
could have
fluid.
done better is I really wish someone could help me turn off these notifications.
Okay, that's an after dark topic. Frank, thanks a lot. Good to have you. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Brittany, thank you for showing up. I know you got in late, but we really appreciate you being here. Where can folks find you?
My website is conquer.consulting. If you're ever interested in going over there. On Twitter, I'm ADD Liberator. And I finished recording today an episode of an upcoming The Small Business Show with Dave Hamilton and Shannon, last name?
Jean.
Thanks. So I recorded the latest episode of that, him. And, and we had a really good chat about ADHD and entrepreneurs.
Great. And that's small business.
The small business show.
The small business show at smallbusiness.co.
That sounds right.
Yes, it is right. I'm a listener. Yes.
That's a good show.
It is a very good show. Yeah. Thanks for being here, Brittany.
Thanks.
Last but absolutely not least, the guy who now feels like he's being abused by Siri.
No, it's a term of endearment, respect, and utter fear.
He's afraid of Siri, apparently.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm Jay Miller. You can find my show, The Pit Show, everywhere where Apple Podcasts shares their feed, where I talk to people in the tech space, which includes ADHD coaches, library professionals, tightrope dancers, and walkers, and the occasional developer or two. And we talk about how people get things done and ultimately why it's so challenging in a world where there's an app for everything.
Great. Thank you for being here, Jay. Really appreciate it. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices Live. Again, we do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And again, we want to remind you that from this point on, we will be over on our YouTube channel only at MacVoices at youtube.com/MacVoices TV. So join us there. And if you're on Facebook, yes, we will post a notice so you remember to join us over there. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.